Redditors, what's the one old people thing your parents do, which drives you crazy? Story 1 got my grandmother a simple cell phone, so I could call, and checking on her, she would garden for hours on end and never hear the house phone. So I would always worry she fell or something. Phone was turned off every time I called for months because she wasn't using it. Another one that just cracks me up but doesn't fully apply to OP's question in the evening. She would turn on her music channel on the TV. It was a station playing mainly Sinatra. Took me a solid month to teach her the buttons to use to get the TV on and to the correct channel. A year goes by of this music playing every evening when I visited. I hadn't been by in the evening for a while, and when I next visited I noticed it wasn't playing and asked her why. She said, "It just sounds different lately. I was a little confused, so I go to the TV and tune into the channel. The cable company had moved channel numbers around and had switched her Sinatra to a heavy metal station." Imagining my grandma listening to heavy metal waiting for Sinatra to come on gets me every time. R.I.P. Story 2 arranged to meet me for lunch or dinner and show up 30 to 45 minutes early. I haven't even left my house yet, and I get a text saying, "Booth on the right." Then I arrive, on time or a couple minutes early, and the waiter thinks I'm the late one wasting his time. Story 3, the never-ending conversation. My parents like to play trivia with a group of people their age. I join them when I'm in town. It's fun. When the game is over, everyone is getting ready to leave, and I'm like, cool, we're going home now. Instead, they spend 20 minutes chatting in the parking lot by their cars. Every time there's a natural break in the conversation, and it feels like it's about to end, some other topic arises, and it keeps going. It feels like it's going to be a quick 2-minute chat at first, but it never is. Story 4, texting with urgency for everything. Dad, are you home? Can we talk? Mino, at work? Is everything okay? Dad, YouTube search alien steals plasma from the sun. Me, okay, so no one died or anything. Dad, not yet. Story 5, my father-in-law is rapidly gaining the retells the same stories trait. If he gets interrupted for some reason, something comes up, or someone interjects because everyone has already heard this story a bunch, he quietly waits, as long as it takes, for silence to fall on the group, and pick up the story exactly where he left off. Story 6, okay, great, just send me the address. Remember Highway 19, go about 3, maybe 9 miles down it, past 2 churches on your left, and turn right. Okay, but I have an iPhone. I just need the address after you pass that auto parts store Mr. Thompson used to own. You remember from that old Chinese restraint that closed. Fork right about 9. 63,452 miles past it. Seriously, just send me the address. Then you'll meet an old blind man with 11 fingers named Ebenezer who will take you to the river. Swim upstream for 30 minutes. Then turn sound and swim downstream for 15. For God's sake, woman, give me the address. Not your crazy nonsense directions. Story 7, she holds her smartphone in one hand, arm's length away from her face, slides her glasses down her nose with her other hand, and then taps the touchscreen with only one finger on that hand. Story 8, my mom sounds like a walking commercial sometimes. She will refer to things by the product name. Exclusively, we have a special dog brush designed to get our dog's undercoat. Instead of just calling it a brush, she calls it a furminator and tells me to furminate the dog. She will also list off all the same this OxyClean has stain-fighting technology that they do in the commercials. I want this woman to drop cable, so she never sees a commercial again. Story 9, I can never reach my mother on her cell phone because she turns it off when she's at home, which means she usually forgets to turn it on when she goes out. It won't even go to voicemail, just customer is not available automated message. Sometimes she turns on to make a call, then she turns it off after she hangs up because she isn't expecting anyone else to call. ITLL be emergency. And I can't get in touch with her because she's not home. When I finally reach her, she says, oh, my phone was off because I wasn't expecting a call. Well, I wasn't expecting to get in a car accident either, but I did. She thinks she gets charge money if she has her phone on, and she's terrified of the battery dying if I visit her house and use her charger because my phone is at 5. She will tell me she needs it back because she's dropped down to 70 battery. My dad doesn't even have a phone, but he messages me from his iPad and communicates only in emojis. Story 10, refuse to learn new technology. It took years to finally get them a smartphone, so they'd stop asking me to look things up for them all the time, even via text message. Story 11, when I call my mom, she'll talk for 10 to 15 minutes as fast as she can, and I can't get a single word in. Then she says, I have to go, I'll call you back, and hangs up before I can say anything. So whatever I needed never gets shared. While back I fell and cut myself up pretty bad on some glass. I called her to ask if she could take me to get stitches, and she did the "I'll call you right back." She didn't. I called her back again a little bit later, and she said, I'm in line at Panera. I'll call you back as soon as I check out. 3 days later, I saw her, and she saw bandages, freaked out that I didn't call her. I did twice. Story 12, when my mom is in my car. Oh my God, this music is so aggressive. Can we just have silence? When I visit my mom's house, Christian music at full blast on terrible speakers. Audio is clipping and sounds like trash. Oh, that's MY music. And you're just going to have to deal with it. Okay, bye. Story 13, turning off the internet at 10 o'clock p.m. every night and giving me if I've still got working on that night. And one on a bit later, edit, I might tell them that by switching it off every night during the training period, that they doomed us all to internet at up to rocket speeds of 1 megabit per second. Hopefully this will buy me 10 nights. Story 14, they won't go to the doctor when they're sick anymore because they don't want to hear bad news. No, Dad. Drinking apple juice is not going to stop your gallbladder exploding. The realization that you're responsible for looking after them now hits you right in the mortality. Story 15, just go talk to the manager. They will hire you on the spot. It doesn't matter how much I explain to them that it isn't the 70S, 80S anymore. They still think that just walling in will get you a job on the spot. I know it doesn't work because I tried it about 10 times. Story 16, my parents have this rule. They made up specifically for me whenever I visit them. I can't use any apps on my phone when I'm in their house because my parents think my apps will infect their Wi-Fi with a virus. This came to be when I visited them 2 years ago for Thanksgiving, and my dad had malware and a lot of viruses on his desktop in his study. I was in the living room browsing Reddit on my phone at the time, and my parents blamed me for their computer problems. I've told them so many times that me using my phone isn't going to mess up their computer or Wi-Fi, but they don't seem to comprehend this. I have a teenage brother still living with my parents, and they got rid of his Xbox because for the same reason, they think all video game systems are virus boxes. They always act all superior whenever they see an Xbox commercial on TV. They think they are smarter than everyone who buys one because they are aware of the scam Microsoft is trying to pull so the company can profit from giving people viruses on their Wi-Fi. I give up trying to explain. It's like talking to a brick wall, except a brick wall would shut up and not interrupt me when I explain something. Story 17, conversationally tell me who's seriously sick, got cancer, dying, etc. Like, your mom, if it's a close family member, let me know, but I don't really need to hear about that one friend of yours I met for 2 seconds 3 years ago. It's just depressing. Story 18, if my mom hears about or sees an ad for a place, or especially if she gets a coupon, that's all she will talk about until finally my dad takes her there. Which is how they wind up going places like the biker bar. Sorry, Mom. I don't think your powered wheelchair puts you in the same class as a Harley or a crowded sports bar on a night of the NBA Finals. Story 19, fear. It seems like they're afraid of everything now. As an example, I want to go take a walk when I was staying with them for a week. When one of them asked where I went and I explained, they exploded all in a panic about how I could have been run over by a car because I crossed one semi-busy intersection. Never mind the fact that I used the crosswalks and the town they lived in at the time doesn't have anywhere near to the amount of traffic as the cities that I had been living in for the last 30 years. Nope, I was risking death on the streets. Story 20, luckily I've passed this point in my life, but it always bothers me when older people in their 40s and 50s try to give you job hunting advice from back in their day. No, you can't just walk in somewhere and get a job on the spot. That's not how it works these days. Story 21 takes a solid 30 minutes to tell me something that could have been said in 1 or 2 sentences, or ask a question in as many ways as Joseph Smith had wives, but all in one sentence. Do you want to go to lunch? Because it's almost lunchtime. It's right around 12. 12 is when I eat lunch. Do you want also? Because we could eat at 1 also, but since I eat at 12, that might be a bit late. When do you? Yes, we can go eat. The other thing that annoys me is when they put their phone on speakerphone in the middle of a public space, and then hold the phone a foot away from their ear. Because everyone else in Costco wants to hear their conversation about what brand of laundry detergent is better, apparently. Edit, thanks for the gold. This is my first glided comment. Story 22, refuse to call up the internet company when the internet goes out because they've had the internet since its birth and they know what they're doing, they don't. Story 23, my dad half reads a book and watches TV laid back with his feet up while peering over his glasses, which are resting on the end of his nose with his mouth slightly open, sporting a prominent underbite. Story 24, Mom, come here. Me what? Mom, come here. Me, what do you need? Mom, come here. Me, just tell me what you need first. Mom, come here now. Walks to her room. What do you want? Mom just wanted you to watch this commercial. Me, I don't care about your commercial. Story 25, my mom mouths everything you say to her. Like if you said, hi, Mom, she will silently mouth it back to you as you're saying it. I can't even look at her when I talk to her anymore. It makes me so crazy. Story 26, religiously go to the polls every election day and vote straight Republican, but will be unable to name anyone on the ballot or what the candidate's policies are. Story 27, my parents are still fairly young, but they both give me when I curse on social media. It's just so unladylike and unbecoming. Dude, I said, not like I called anyone. Story 28, if we go somewhere together, it takes forever to get out of the car. I hop right out, and he's still just sitting there, putting on his chapstick, wiping the dust off of something, put his keys in his pocket, putting on his jacket, etc. Get out of the car and let's go, old man. Story 29, my mom adds her own sound effects when she's watching TV movies, like she'll literally scream at the top of her lungs, or she'll shriek the shrillest, most glass-shatteringly high shriek you can imagine. I can't even be in the same room with her when she's watching TV, and God forbid I'm watching something and she just feels like joining me. Story 30, walk slowly as possible in front of you on the street, whilst making it impossible to get past, then decide to just stop walking and get a mint from their handbag or something. Story 31, they don't want to embrace any new technology. They're using dial-up for internet service. They only watch network channels that their rooftop antenna can receive. Neither has a cell phone. They still had a rotary phone until the 90s. My father's computer is using Windows Vista. My mother is using Windows 98. My father is just now cycling out storing documents on 5 floppies. He's putting everything on cheap flash drives. If I didn't buy my father an optical mouse, he'd likely still be using an old PS2 mouse. They don't have a smartphone, GPS, or use something like MapQuest. All navigation done by vehicle is done using 20-year-old paper maps. My father has boxes and boxes of old slides. With all of his flash drives, he's slowly porting them to a digital format, but still doesn't trust any online storage. Just last year, I got my mother to switch from a CD player to a digital MP3 player to have portable music she can listen while walking or gardening. Story 32, stuck in their ways politically. Socially liberal through and through, pro-choice, support the LGBT community. They have Muslim neighbors next door and frequently have dinner with them. My mom even babysat their kids when they were younger and aren't religious in the slightest. But they vote Republican, no matter what. It is so ingrained in their psyche, I don't even know how to combat it. It's always blah, blah, blah taxes. And when you're older, you'll understand. Well, I don't understand. Unless they're secretly in the top one, and my entire upbringing has been an elaborate ruse, I have zero clue how they can justify their voting habits based on the values they practice. Story 33, seems all parents are the same in one way or another. My mother has a smartphone and doesn't realize that if you keep your finger resting on it while it's unlocked, things will move around. TSK, mother, I'm not resetting your weather app again. Story 34, flatly refuse to consider user error as the cause of any tech problem at all. Really, Mom? I also think it's quite odd that your TVs, computer, Kindle, phone, etc. all just conspire against you. They must all be defective. Story 35, my dad's so really loves a lot of horrible shows like Ghost Hunters or NCIS, just to name a couple. Oftentimes, they will have a marathon of these shows on for like a 10-hour block. She will sit there and watch 9 episodes in a row, all of which she has already seen at least once before, by the way. After being subjected to many episodes, going off to do other things, then coming back, etc., someone will inevitably grab the remote when she seems to have had enough of her programming and turn to something else. She will then walk back into the room, see that the channel has been changed, and issue a snide remark like, "Oh, I see. Just watch whatever you want then. My shows aren't important, I guess. You just watched many hours of your program, but I guess you need to watch even more. Pretty ridiculous." Story 36, gets the childhood habits of our siblings mixed up. Like at our wedding, Mom told everyone I collected Beanie Babies. That was my sister, not me. I collected video games and later guitars. Story 37, my mom thinks that one's ultimate career goal should be to get a good stable job like any blue-collar position at the utility company, hospital, or university. Story 38, your Auntie Debbie called me this morning. Who's that? Your Auntie Debbie. You know her. I have no idea who you're talking about. Yes, you do. She babysat you after you were born. Story 39, they go the extreme of not everything on the internet is true and believe nothing on the internet is true. If I try to make a point about how that isn't always the case, they respond with, "So what you're saying is you based your research off of something you read on the internet." Yes, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. Story 40, send you news or funny picture memes you saw long ago, you have to humor them and come to terms with the fact that you spend way too much time on the internet. Story 41, ever since I can remember, my mom cannot figure out how to use the TV remote. She will hold it out, squint her eyes, and just start pushing random buttons with one finger. Story 42, my dad laughs whenever I use the internet to solve a problem, like getting directions, or finding a restaurant, or getting an answer to a question. He laughs like, "Oh, you kids these days, Dad. The internet isn't a fad, it's life now." Story 43, I love my parents, but they're definitely starting to head down the road to stone deafness. My sister and I have had numerous cringe instances in restaurants where one or the other of our parents will be like, "When will he bring our tea?" And while we understand that's a legitimate speculation amongst the people at the table, because it has been longer than usual, We could have done without the entire restaurant hearing it. Story 44, my mom doesn't know how to get the off the phone. Every time I say bye or that I have to go, she just continues the conversation. I have to say bye at least 8 times, then I'll love you once and quickly hang up in order to get her off the phone. As for my dad, he still talks to me like I'm 5 in my late 20s. Anytime I go to any of his relatives' homes, he calls them before I get there. And then again, once I'm there to tell them, to make sure I'm okay, ask them to feed me, and make sure my camera doesn't break. I'm a photographer. It's so embarrassing. Story 45, my mom eats like a and refuses to throw anything away. Last time I visited home, there were 5 or 6 quart-sized Ziploc bags on the counter, each containing 1 to 2 bites of an otherwise eaten breakfast pastry. Just finish that or throw it away. It never gets eaten either. Story 46, need the best and latest technology, no jack about it, and screw it up, so I have to go over and fix it every time. My dad bought my elderly mother an iPad. Some of the things she asked me drive me crazy, like how do I get to YouTube, or what to browser over and over. Story 47, buy their shitty off-brand cola to give to visiting kids. But that's not the worst. It's when they are buying it, standing in line. They talk to the cashiers for an eternity. Meanwhile, the groceries piling up valuable time, which should be spent packing said groceries. Then when it's time to pay, they check all their pockets for their wallets. Finally find it, but spend another eternity trying to make the card work, only to find out they put the library card in the machine. Story 48, not my parent per se, but an old family friend who works with me family business. Sans him, I've grown up around him, so we used to be pretty close, not anymore since he's old and senile and is convinced that women can't fix things. Meanwhile, I'm at the workbench next to him, a female, fixing things that he cannot. Story 49, add the letter S to any retail location. My email cannot say the name of any store without the added S. Targets, Aldous Kroger's Tom Thumbs, ugh. Story 50, kill silence. He can't go more than a minute or 2 without whistling the same 5-second tune or blurting out the same old short song lines. He drinks a lot, and he always says pardon me after every tiny burp. He also constantly talks to the TV. You know those annoying people who go to the movies and yell things like, nah, girl, don't go in there. He does that with TV. Constantly, he literally can't go more than 2 minutes without making some kind of noise. Story 51, my dad and stepmom don't listen to music or even talk radio in the car, just long stretches of silence, with one of them occasionally reading a sign out loud to the other. Story 52, super judgy. Not in racist, homophobic young people ways either. They develop attitudes towards people, usually family members, because neither really has friends, which is most likely part of the problem, without considering that person's point of view of the situation. When I talk to them, I get to hear about the shitty thing that this or that person did. My mother also likes to embellish things, so half the time I get to wonder what actually happened. Upside is that I've been learning to give people the benefit of the doubt. Edit, oh, I nearly forgot to describe my mom's emails. It's always a new email because she doesn't know how the reply option works. Grammar doesn't exist. Her sentences are short and to the point, thankfully, but read like a list, and she always ends with something terrible that happened in a blunt and unintentionally hilarious way. I laughed when I found out my uncle was dying and immediately felt awful for it. Examples may be given upon request. Story 53, well, it had to have been 1986 because I was living in that one place and my cousin just sold his car. Wait, maybe 87, my friend's niece was in kindergarten, for a couple of minutes before proceeding. Story 54, my mom used to leave a voicemail message every single time she called me. Same message every time, hi, it's just me. Call me back. She also would constantly walk around with 2 pairs of glasses on the top of her head, sunglasses, and I glasses am laughing just thinking about it now. She died 2 years ago, and it's funny that the things that drive you crazy when they're alive are the very same things you'll miss most when they're gone. Story 55, I work with my dad. His index finger only typing is painful. The way he'll sit there and take 20 minutes to really send out a specific email reply. Honestly, shouldn't be taking more than 5 minutes, but his T-Rex keyboard mashing impersonation just doesn't cut it. Story 56, my father has started sending me groups of news stories with no context. All related, not normal news stories. Last week it was 4 articles about dead horses. He seemed to think this was a good joke. He'll also send me random text messages at all hours to the effect of you should start a business knitting sweaters for cats, or are velvet paintings cool again yet? In his old age, I think he must have started smoking pot again. Story 57, if you want a job, just go in there and apply in person. Sorry, parents, everyone wants online resumes so that they can pretend they aren't just hiring from within, but are legally obligated to post the ad. Story 58, my mom pulls the whole "I'm too old to learn that. I'm just not going to use it." FFS, she's 72, not 120, and it's Netflix, not a missile guidance system. Story 59, my dad turned 60 this year. And he also started driving like an old man, like almost as soon as he turned 60, drives slow as dirt, doesn't bother to use his blinker, etc. I guess at a certain point people say it. I've seen this whole town, and am not in a hurry to see any more of it. Story 60, it only started recently, but every time we go out to eat at a restaurant, they're never happy with they're seated. They always end up complaining, and we always end up getting up and moving to another table with our menus in tow, in front of everyone in the restaurant. Story 61, I typed all this out and realized it's sort of the opposite of the question asked. Oh well, maybe ITLL still contribute to conversation. I never realized how little they really knew about navigating computers until I started working with my mother. She keeps opening new windows for every little thing. Doesn't really know how to find her downloads either. She just has a really hard time navigating anything. My dad has been on forums for a long time, so I just give him updates on the newest interesting apps and sites. I help her with it. I set up bookmarks and quick access, so she doesn't have to dig for things. It'll show her a dozen times how to use something, and try to be patient. She wants to learn. She so badly wanted a smartphone for conveniences, and I walk her through each new thing without complaint. It drives me nuts when my brother gets impatient with her. He's all high and mighty about how good he is with computers, but he can't show here where her downloads folder is without making fun. She wants to learn and be competent. So teach her already. I remember walking my grandfather through his smartish phone. He was 80 years old and had only had flip phones and never owned a computer. He studies the manual constantly to learn how to use it. He was so excited and told everyone when I set up his wallpaper to their newest great-grandchild, I consider my patience and time paid off when it makes someone happy. Story 62, drinking bottled water when filtering tap water is so easy, then being flippant when asked why. Baby boomers think everything is disposable. My dad refuses to watch the HD channels when he has a HD TV, HD programming, and he changes channels one at a time, refusing to use the guide. Story 63, leave cryptic voicemails. Hi. Peel it, it's your dad. Could you call me just as soon as you can click? So I call, and it'd be one of these two things. 1-0. I was just wondering if you'd talked to Jim in a while seeing this TV show ever eaten Albanian food. Or 2, I had a stroke, and I'm in the hospital. There was no way to tell which it would be. Story 64, assume you can just walk into any store and instantly get a job. No, mom, people don't get hired on the spot anymore. People actually look at resumes and do interviewing now. And yes, even for stores like Kent, you actually have to take a test for this place. Story 65, my dad overanalyzes everything. I saw a commercial with a car in the wrong position. It's hard to explain. And he's like, explain what's wrong. I don't care, Dad. It's a ficking commercial. It doesn't matter. He's like, oh, the smart people won't buy cars from this company because they can't even get commercials, right? Story 66, go to bed super duper early. I can't do much after 930 because my mom is a super light sleeper and goes to bed early. It doesn't help that the printer is in their room, which has screwed me over on more than one occasion when I finished an assignment later in the evening, but couldn't print out. Also, rampant homophobia. Story 67, cooking for a small army. It's only thee and I visiting, yet so much food. It wears them out too, because it's all from scratch. Ugh, they need to just relax and let us do the work, but they love cooking. It's definitely out of love, but I worry for them too. My dad insists on referring to Facebook as my webpage, which I find endearing and hilarious. He also signs all of his texts, love, Pimeno 37. Story 68, when they say, you're always on your phone. When I was your age, I was outside. Excuse me, I'm sure if you had a phone while you were growing up, you'd be on it too. Things are different. New technology is out. A lot of the older generation needs to come to terms with it. Story 69, when I was your age, I worked 16 full-time jobs, went to school, and raised you and your sister while paying for a house with minimum wage. Yeah, things are different now, folks. Story 70, my mother and technology. Last week, she said she needed a new printer because hers wasn't compatible with W10. Fair enough. We go through the catalog and pick out a wireless printer with a copier built in. She was ecstatic. Just as I'm about to leave and go pick it up, she drops this gem OHH sparkly spunk. I forgot to order batteries for it. It's wireless, my partner and I just looked at each other for a moment or two, then bust out laughing. All the while my mother looking at us confusedly. We get back with the printer and set it up for her. She decides she wants to do a test run and print off the car's insurance info. I print it off for her, no problem. Then she wants to try the copier. It copied upside down. She didn't notice till it started printing, then panic ensued. It's upside down. SPERKLYSPUNK. ITS upside down. What have you done? My partner then proceeds to pick the print off up and turn it round. She was astounded. Story 71. They show negative ability to adapt to a new situation place. Trips to Europe were fun, but some parts were infinitely annoying, like parking structures or navigating. Story 72. I can't believe it, but my parents started falling for dumb. Like those balance bracelets with magnetic asteroids that are supposed to give you immortality or some goddamn $50 for that. And I'm like, guys, WTF, but I didn't know. I don't live with them, but I'm only 20 and didn't ever think my parents could be stupid dad more. So then mom. But both are starting to lose hearing. They snap at me for mumbling. Parents, I have not mumbled a day in my life since I was 6 and grandpa yelled at me. Yet if I suggest they get hearing aids in Story 73, treating my fairly specialized metalworking job like it's algebra. Well, what's the problem? Maybe I can help. I have done the same thing to them to see how they'd react. Not positively. Story 74 assumed the world still operates the way it did 50 years ago. I mean, I know the spirit in which the advice is being given. I know they're trying to help, but everything being suggested is about as useful as recommending a restaurant that burned down during the Reagan administration. Story 75, my dad goes on long rambling stories like he's Abe Simpson. So I went to the doctor the other day. Yeah, not the psychiatrist, but my normal doctor. Okay, the one who was in the city. Yeah. And anyway, he said that he's going to be moving to a new office. Okay. So it's still going to be in the city, but a block away, which is okay. Yeah, anyway, that's not the point. So after I left the doctor's office, I went to get the train home. Yeah, all right. But when I went to the train station, the ticket machine wasn't working. Yeah. So I had to go see the man at the office. All right. Anyway. So I got my ticket, and then I go to catch the train. Yeah, all right, but the train was delayed. Get to the point already. Story 76, my mom phones and leaves a message every time I don't answer saying, hi. It's mom calling at 300 Friday afternoon. Give me a call back at 555-5555 whenever you are free. All things I could easily gather by just looking at my missed calls. Story 77, my mom sends text messages just like this. So instead of one notification, I will get about 10 notifications in 1 minute. It drives me insane. Okay. You got that, call me. Story 78, pop-ups. You are our 10 billionth visitor. Click here for your prize. Do I click on this? And oh, mother, no. Meet single babes in your area. What do I do with this? Shall I click on it? My screen is gone. Where's my screen? Your screen is there. The window you want to go behind that pop-up. Oh, God. And when she uses Skype, she always says the camera hasn't come up yet. I can't see you. Why aren't you showing yet? I can't see you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Maybe stop shouting and give the camera a second to load. Then she starts singing the I Can't See You song and then laughs when the webcam goes full screen because you have a big face every single time. I love them a bit though. Story 79, my dad refuses to learn a text. Refuses, he still has a heavy-duty old-school flip phone, which he works in a coal plant, so that's good. However, he made me go through and find and download the most obnoxious ringtones for the family. My sister is a tribe of monkeys screeching. My mom is a flock of peacocks screeching, and I am the sound of a bull moose calling for a mate. Story 80, on a serious note, relying on that's just what I grew up with, or that's how I was back then, to excuse being bigoted in some way. Both of mine toned this down since I came out to them, but before they would be trying to play off their homophobic comments by dismissing them as, oh, that's just how I grew up being taught. On a lighter note, pressing their touchscreen keyboards with one finger, holding it away with the other hand. I know it's just how they find it comfortable, but if I'm ever helping my mom write something out, I get an urge to rip the phone from her and type with my thumbs rather than stand over her shoulder and watch while she presses each individual key, as if pressing too fast will blow it up. Story 81, take their time in stores. Just today, I was in Dick's with her, getting some stuff, a chair and a bat. But when I got everything, she's like, we don't need to rush. We have time. She thinks the only reason I want to go home is to play video games and says that's not a good reason. I just hate being in places I don't need to be. I like going shopping, getting everything I got out ASAP. Story 82, my dad prints out everything. Like everything. He has a cupboard full of files of everything he's printed out. I try to explain that you can store this on the computer for as long as is necessary, and even make multiple backups if you're worried about losing data. Even cloud backups, but no. Story 83, every time I drive anywhere. She gets upset if I don't have written instructions and a map. I have a smartphone and a GPS and have lived here for almost 20 years. I know where I'm going, Mom. Story 84, way to much emphasis on family, like family is great and all, but she takes it to a whole new level. Had this conversation last week. Mom, are you going to your cousin Sarah's wedding? Me who? Mom, you know your cousin Sarah. I have a cousin named Sarah. Mom, remember she was at Easter. Me, no, she wasn't. Mom, yes, she was. Oh, maybe it was a year or two ago. Remember you went on that 3-hour walk around Grandma's farm with her and your other cousins? That was her. Me, Mom, that was 9 years ago. She barely spoke to me, and I haven't seen or heard from her since. Mom, oh, well, are you going? Because family is important. You need to be there. It's next weekend. Pisses me right off. If I don't see or hear from you at least a few times in the year, then I stop caring. Story 85, my dad has become very susceptible to internet scam ads. I've installed uBlock on his laptop. so he doesn't click on so many fake ads. But every so often he'll come by his work desk, and he'll be listening to a video about a pyramid scheme.